Origin Gents, welcome to UX, and this is stupid and evil business model. Buy now, pay later. Yeah, this was on Fat Files. Yeah, this is a thing everywhere, I guess. Even where I live, there is basically Amazon has that Amazon Pay Later type of things, and many other like people have just started. Oh, buy now, pay later. Even like special services are about buy now, pay later. So stupid and evil. So it's not just evil; it's stupid as well. If it's just evil, genius and evil, there's like, okay, there are many things like that, like stock market and like, yeah, Wall Street, and there's many like there's a movie about it. But this is stupid and evil, implying that it doesn't even work for them. That would be surprising. Let's voice one.
I've accidentally stumbled upon the dumbest business model on the planet. Today we're talking about buy now, pay later. Historically speaking, it has been a method of payment since pretty much forever. And it's been exactly what it sounds like. You buy something that you can't afford right now and you pay for it later. Whether you're buying a house or a car or your oven goes out and you don't have enough money to replace your oven, you go to the appliance store and the appliance store is like, no problem, we'll hook you up with a payment plan so you can get your oven. It's never been an issue.
Where's all the money? That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs. See this? That's a car. Might want to hang on to that one.
But in the past couple of years, apparently flying under my radar, a bunch of tech bros have gotten together and said, you know what, we should take this method of payment and turn it into an entire business model. And it is not only the dumbest business model I've ever seen, it's almost unironically evil. Like if you were to take a cabal of evil economists and put them in a think tank and tell them they need to come up with the dumbest way possible to crash the economy, this is what they would come up with. And we're going to get into it right after word from our sponsor.
Delete me.
No gun this time?
Oh. Oh.
What is that?
It's my new concealed carry. It's so cute and small.
I mean, it's pretty average, I would say.
Well, I can't get my two hands on it.
Oh, is that the standard now? All right, here's the deal, super.
How you conceal that though? Like, can you conceal that? I don't know. Like, unconcealed carry, like really small. I don't know.
Simple, straightforward business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure the data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does that even mean? Okay, here's the entire internet and every free service on the planet inside of a nutshell. Okay, there's a saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. What that means is pretty much anything on the internet that you use, that's a service, whether that be Google, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. Okay, it's all an app. So one of two things is happening. They're either going to feed you ads, and that's how that company makes money since their service is free, or they're going to collect your personal information, then turn around and sell it to data brokers on the internet, and then they're going to turn around and sell it to whoever buys it, and next thing you know, you're getting 17,000 robocalls every single day. And that's where Delete Me comes in. They will look through all the major data brokers and find the ones that are selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then they are legally obligated to comply. And then they'll continue to monitor these data brokers, and if they get your information again, Delete Me will submit an opt-out request again. Basically, you're paying Delete Me to get rid of all the downsides of all of the free stuff on the internet, which I think is absolutely worth it. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, moment of
I
transparency.
like the comment, buying shit we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. It's not about liking. To impress people in general, doesn't matter if you like or not, which is like, even if you did impress them, hooray, what the fuck you gonna get? Look, man, I never understood that point. Like, okay, I wanna flex in front of people. Oh, look at my shit. Like, okay, who gives a fuck? And even if people like that, people are gonna be like, what an asshole. That's what people, I don't have what he has, so fuck you. That's what people's mentality going to be. Why do you want to impress people with shit you have? That never made sense to me. And this buy now, pay later. This is a bubble, isn't it? Like there was a housing bubble that caused 2008 crash. Is this at the level supported by big banks? Because if it is, it's a bubble that would crash the economy. And that's evil because now government has to intervene. But if it's by small lenders, I'm pretty sure they are not covered. Government's not going to bail them out. So is this stupid or just like, is it problematic? Because if people don't pay back, like, aren't they screwed?
I had no intention of making this video. I didn't even really know that these companies existed or how they functioned until recently. I went to order something off of DoorDash, a pizza for me and the family, and I was presented with payment options. Those were Apple Pay, a credit card.
Yeah, the same shit happen here. Like every time there's a list of somebody. Wait a minute, I need to check this. Oh, there you go. Can you see this shit? Right? Simple Amazon Pay Later, lazy pay for whatever reason. There's something. Okay, That shit is even here. And this is just one app. I don't even check which app has what pay later. I didn't even realize this until very recently. What the fuck is pay later? And then I see like there are literal apps that gives you these credits, whatever. Now I know about credit cards, which is like the most evil shit there is. I don't know if this pay later thing is worse than credit card, but we'll get to it later.
Card or Klarna. And for whatever reason on this particular day, I said, what the fuck is Klarna? So I clicked on it. I was then presented the option of making an account with Klarna, and then I would be allowed to make 4 easy installments to pay off my pizza.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
To which I immediately said to myself in my head, that's stupid. I'm not about to finance a pizza and a private chauffeur to deliver it to me. I hit back and paid with a credit card, but then I was like, well, wait a minute. I technically did just finance a pizza and a private chauffeur to bring it to me because I paid it with a credit card, right? I'm buying it now and I'm gonna pay for it later when I pay my credit card statement off at the end of the month. So what the fuck is the difference between Klarna and a credit card? So I looked into it, and guess what the difference is between Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, all these buy now, pay later tech companies, and a credit card? Basically nothing. Credit cards are regulated, these companies are barely regulated, and they're nowhere near as regulated as a credit card.
Same, but different. But still same.
Now, obviously, these
No, not same. Not same. I have 2 credit cards. Credit cards are worse. Credit card is how banks make money. Everything else is bullshit. Credit card is how they make money. I'll tell you how. Okay, pay later gives you installment. Great. Let's say you're 6 installment or something big. Like, ignore pizza. Ignore that shit, alright? Ignore pizza. There is something. You bought something like, let's just say $2,000. Great. Now you're 6 installment. It will have 6 installment and maybe 10 or 15% annual interest on that. So that would be like 7% in those total of 6 months of your total principal. Okay. Fair enough, I guess. Credit card. That thing will let you use the money or use whatever thing you bought for 50 days. Not really 50 days is the like billing cycle. As soon as the billing cycle comes, then it's 50 days. Doesn't matter when you purchase it. If you purchase between a billing cycle, it's no longer 50 days, right? After the second bill, it will be part of the, it will start to, take interest. So 50 days, right? But if you don't pay in 50 days, do you know what happens? 3.8 to 4% interest, depending on what credit card is, and in here, it's 3.8%. That's how it was. 3.2, now it's all the way to 3.5 and 3.8 even. Now, in here, at least where I live, there is a GST on it. Goods and service tax on interest. What the fuck? Interest is not goods. Interest is not, like service. But there's a GST on it. Totaling 5%. Yeah, like even my body's not, like digesting this shit. Even that's 5% interest in a month of that shit if you don't pay it in 50 days. And they know, like, doesn't matter if you have money or not, there's a higher chance you'll just forget, or you'll just don't care about it, or you'll just don't see it and just pay minimum. Most people, I have money, I don't need really credit card, but just credit card is good for your credit score and shit like that. Even I sometimes, who gives a fuck, and I just didn't pay the card and just like minimum just walked away without realizing. And then I realized that, holy shit, I'm paying 5% interest, right? So you're paying 5% interest every month. That's like 60% interest a year. That's on credit card. That's a million times worse than whatever pay later shit there is in the installment thing. Credit card doesn't work. I mean, you can do installment. That is different. That will work same way this. But if you just take credit and try to, like in that thing, like, oh, I'm going to pay it back in 50 days and you don't, that shit just going to amplify. The interest is insanely ridiculous. And there is a tax on those interests, making it a 5% interest. That's the worst thing you can do. Credit card is completely worse. You can have $2,000 credit card and you be paying installment like you took like 20,000 or something, or loan of 20,000 or something, just for that 2,000. That shit is insane.
These tech companies insist that they are different from credit cards. That's why they're not getting regulated as credit cards. So let's just go ahead and go over both and see if we can see any difference whatsoever. Credit card companies primarily make money in 2 different ways. One, if you don't pay off your balance at the end of the month, they charge you like 26% interest and they make money off of the interest. Okay, pretty straightforward. Everybody understands that. Way number 2 credit cards make money that less people understand is they act as a payment processor. So what that means is every time you swipe your credit card at a store, they are going to charge the retailer anywhere between 1 and 3% of the total purchase amount every single time you use your card. So if you go to Walmart and buy $100 worth of groceries, Walmart is going to end up paying $3 for that 3% of a processing fee. And then if you don't pay off your bill, they're going to make interest on top of that. Those are the two ways that credit card companies make money. Now, Klarna and all the other buy now, pay later companies are totally different because they make all of their money off of processing fees, but instead of charging 1 to 3%, they charge 3 to 6%, aka double what a credit card charges. And then they give you a 0 interest loan for 30 days. And if you don't pay it off, then they start charging you interest. It's the same fucking thing as a credit card.
They're the same picture.
They even have a Visa card that you can put in your wallet and take with you to do this as much as you want. So why the fuck isn't it regulated like a credit card? Well, you see, a credit card is a revolving line of credit. That means you've got a $5,000 limit. You can spend $5,000, you pay it off, you can spend $5,000 all over again. When you use Klarna, Klarna isn't giving you access to a line of credit. They're giving you an individual loan. So if you get on DoorDash and use Klarna to pay for a fucking burrito, Klarna is giving you an individual loan for said burrito.
Good Lord, pay it off today.
Pay it off.
And you can avoid interest on that loan by paying that loan.
By the way, I don't know how it's there, but I know how it's here. If you do that, if you take that individual, let's just say you bought a phone and you got a loan for that, that counts as a proper loan. What does that mean? Let's say you bought 6 things, an AC, or mobile phone, some computer part or some shit, 5-6 things. And if you do the pay later thing, or like from credit card, do EMI, an installment thing, it will count as a proper loan. So if you're trying to take a proper loan for something, housing loan or personal loan for some business or whatever, for whatever fucking reason, they'll check your credit and they will show you have 6 active loans. They will not give you a loan because they think you have too much loans. You're a risky person because of this shit. This will count as a real loan. I realized that when I just, there's a called Sybil. That's how it's called here with the credit score thing. So when I look through that, it's like, I have like 6 active loans. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't take loans. I mean, when I buy cars, sure, because of like income tax reasons. When I buy a car, sure, but that should be 1. Oh, by the way, there are like 6 loans. Like, then I realized like all the shit that I purchased counts as a fucking loan.
Loan off in full in 30 days, exactly like a credit card. Or unlike a credit card, you could sign up for their payment plan where you make 4 payments over the course of 6 weeks and you'll still avoid interest. But if you go with that payment plan, each loan is going to come out of your account on its own schedule. So if you buy 30 things off of Klarna, you've got 30 loans out there auto withdrawing from your account on whatever random dates those payment dates are. So basically Klarna is running 30 transactions a month to get all their money out on 30 different days, making it very, very hard for the average person to keep track of how much money they owe and how much debt they're actually in.
It sounds like a simple shakedown, simple as that.
Okay, just so we're all on the same page, their entire argument is, yeah, we're basically a credit card, but we're a really, really shitty, inconvenient credit card, therefore we shouldn't have to play by any rules. But don't worry, it gets worse. You see, when you apply for a credit card, they actually run your credit, and if you buy a bunch of stuff on a credit card and then you pay it off, it increases your credit score. That's a lot of the reasons that people go and get credit cards at a young age, to build credit so they can hopefully buy a house in the future. These buy now pay later companies on the
But the thing I said, it will show as an active credit, and if you try to buy something when the guy is like, oh, you have 6 active loans, I'm not giving to you. Okay, the guy can see what loans are there. The guy isn't a moron. But they have a procedure. They can't override that just because the guy knows. It's a computer. Like nowadays, most banks work through computer and computer, script. They can't just override that. Like, oh, by the way, 6 loans, but these are not really 6 loans, just 6 products. They can't say that. So they can't type it into computer. You have to go back and forth. Maybe manager will override it type of shit. But it will count as a 6 proper loan if you put installment into it. Right? So that's just fucked up.
The other hand, they don't run your credit. So you can buy a bunch of shit with these companies, but it's never going to improve your credit score. But inversely, if you go ahead and don't pay your bill, they'll report it to collections, and then that will tank your credit score. So they can only hurt your credit. They can't help it. Buh! If you don't like the service, then just don't use it. Buh! Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Here's how that affects all of us. Remember earlier when I said that they doubled the processing fees of a normal credit card? Great, wonderful. If retail companies are gonna have to pay an extra 3%, they're gonna pass that along to the customer, and they can't discriminate and only pass.
This is not the only argument. I hate that fucking argument. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you don't like it, go somewhere. No, okay. In a way, that's how customer can act, but that is not how society works. Right? This is like saying, okay, we walk outside. Like, if you don't like the cars, walk. Right? Cars are dangerous now. No, you have to put safety belt there. You have to put like airbags and everything. Right? Oh, by the way, cars are colliding with each other. If you don't like it, don't go in cars. No, you have to put speed limits there. It's good for the society. There's a lot of good for the society elements there. In democratic society walks as slow as the slowest person the society has. That's how safety nets work, right? So that, or you don't like it, just walk away. That should now you have to regulate it, right? Otherwise, there will be people who get duped, and that is on the society and on the structure that people created.
Along to Klarna users because you can't make individual people pay the processing fees. So they're just going to raise their prices across the board. So even if you're Dave Ramsey paying for everything in fucking cash, you're going to be paying more money because somebody wants to finance a fucking burrito. Which raises a question, why would any retailer want to use Klarna or Afterpay or Affirm or any of these other buy now, pay later companies?
That is not even a question. That is the easiest question in the world. More purchase. Numbers. Okay, customer will buy one thing, but by this, customer will buy 5 things. Okay, 5 things is better than 1, give them that. This is not even a question.
Companies if they're charging more money for the processing fee? Great question. This is where it gets evil. You've probably seen these in a checkout where it's like you could pay the $100 for your purchase right now, or you can make 4 payments of $25 and still get what you wanted right now. Okay, now to some of us that seems stupid because $100 is $100. Whether you take it from me right now or next Tuesday, I'm still paying $100. What's the big deal? But there's a ton of scientific research that has gone into this, and when you spend a bunch of money, it activates the same part of your brain that is your pain response. It is borderline physically painful to spend a lot of money. So there's a huge chunk of the population that as long as they see that lower amount in what they have to pay right now, they're 20% more likely to make the purchase, and they're 30% more likely to spend even more money.
That last part. $100, I have $100 right now. I'll buy 4 things with $25 and everything else I'll figure out next time. Who gives a fuck? People have that mentality.
Yes, science!
So essentially, all these buy now, pay later companies are approaching retailers and saying, hey, we're going to charge you 6%, but you're going to sell 20% more often. And when you do sell, those purchases are going to be 30% larger. Basically, retailers take the deal because it makes them more money. And the reason it makes them more money is because Klarna and all the other buy now, pay later companies have figured out how to make credit cards 2.0, except this time it's more dangerous, it's less regulated, and people that are financially illiterate are more likely to fuck up their entire financial future over a fucking burrito. The inception of this company had to have been like an episode of Mad Men with a bunch of John Hamm looking motherfuckers drinking scotch and smoking cigars inside of a high-rise building, and they're like, haha, we're gonna figure out how to exploit poor and financially illiterate people even harder than they already are, and it's gonna be a great business model. Yeah, except it's not, because that's the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay, let me rephrase this entire thing so we're all on the same page. Credit cards have a screening process. You apply for a credit card, meaning they've done some research into you and they've determined you're probably pretty likely to pay this back. Klarna and buy now, pay later doesn't do that same screening process at all. So they're giving lines of credit, essentially, individual loans on burritos and fucking pizzas to people that probably can't afford to pay it back. You want to know how I know they can't afford to pay it back? Because they're taking out a payment plan on a fucking burrito. And you're never going to believe this. It's not working out for them. Q1 of 2020.
I was saying that, I don't want to pause too much because people get pissed off, but I was about to say that, like, no fucking way people are paying back. I know people who don't pay back proper loans from proper banks, which they've gone through the process because they can't. If you can't, then you can't. You're not going to make money out of the thin air. These people don't even get vetted. These are the people who are getting this because they can't get the credit cards because they don't have any credit left. So they're like, this is better than nothing. There's an increasingly higher chance they won't be able to pay it back. How about to say they're like, how does this work? Out of 100, if 70 don't pay it back, because that's how it would work. Because that's how desperate people are. How are they making fucking money? Is there some scheme? Does government bail them out? Because I was genuinely wondering that. But no, apparently they are fucking stupid. Look at that. They're actually losing. Now, I understood this in the face of it. As a, like, in good faith, which is stupid. That's not how anything works. What do you mean good faith? When people can't pay it back, they can't pay it back. But the people who probably come up with this, like, okay, credit card and credit things, a big process, and people just don't want to go through process, so they just don't do credit. If you skip that process and give that to anyone, people will take it and people will probably pay back because people can make money. Shit like that, naive shit like that. What happens is, like, people who can afford credit always takes a credit card because there's stigma around it as well. I have a credit card. People who can't pay it back is going to go with pay later shit, and they won't pay back, obviously. It's not like they're evil or something. They just can't pay it back. They don't have the money.
25, they posted a $99 million loss, and they have no idea why, because guess what? The people that were financing DoorDash and a bunch of other dumb shit aren't paying off their bills in time. Shocking.
Unbelievable.
I would pay so much money to see the CEO of Klarna have a sit down with Warren Buffett and try to convince Warren Buffett to have Berkshire Hathaway invest in Klarna, as he explains to him in detail that their business model is to sell payment plans and loans for Chipotle burritos. It would be fantastic. These companies.
That is your problem though, man. That he would never even come close to the CEO of that company. He won't even think about it. Should I meet him? Nope, no, walking away, because I'm not even going to waste a second of my life on that shit. That's what Warren Buffett will think.
Companies literally broke level 1 of capitalism. Capitalism can be described as you identify a fucking problem, then you solve the problem and sell the solution. Klarna, on the other hand, came along and was like, okay, I think I've identified the problem. Poor people don't have any money. What if we made it easier for poor people to have even less money?
Perfect. Everything.
That's not fixing the problem, it's making it worse. Imagine if a plastic surgeon in Miami figured out a way to help women with flat asses have even flatter asses. He would go out of business. Klarna, on the other hand, is trying to IPO for $15 billion, okay? IPO means initial public offering. Basically, they're gonna open this up to the stock market and let people invest in the company. And the shitty part, because it's the tech sector and everybody thinks that the next tech company is gonna be the next Apple or the next Tesla, they're probably gonna get a metric shit ton of money and a ton of investors are gonna come.
Bye-bye. How'd you fucking do that?
Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, they're about to get a bunch of people to invest in what amounts to subprime burrito loans, and it has the potential to crash the entire economy, right? This is what happened in 2008 with the housing market. What happened in 2008? A bunch of banks were giving out
It's not the same. So, like, the bank thing is that there was a major banks which government had to bail out. That's how crash happened. If the things that work your economy, which are big banks, get not screwed over, they fuck up, economy is gonna crash. This is not at that level. Government's not gonna bail them out. They're like, fuck you, you're stupid. At worst, the people who invest in this thing, if those people have like other investments somewhere else or they own other company, they'll try to make up there by increasing prices there. So it might screw up the economy that way. But if anything, this is just gonna, bankrupt. That's what's gonna happen. This is stupid, man. I didn't know it was that bad.
Prime mortgages, subprime, meaning they're giving a mortgage to somebody they know probably can't afford it. And guess what happens when people can't afford shit? They don't afford it, and then they end up not making the payments. They foreclose on the house. That happens too much, and it ruins the entire fucking housing market and the entire economy as a whole.
You're completely sure of the math.
Look at him. You notice anything different about him? Look at his face.
That's pretty racist.
His name's Yang. Yeah, I'm sure of the math.
Actually, my name's Jung.
But at least when the housing market crashed and the bank foreclosed on a bunch of houses, they still had the houses that they could turn around and sell to somebody else. Granted, they weren't going to get all their money out of it because the price of houses fell to the floor, but at least they had something left over. How the fuck are you going to foreclose on a DoorDash order that somebody ate 9 months ago, okay? You going to go repo a fucking turd? I can't believe I live in a timeline where I'm legitimately concerned that one day I'm going to wake up and see the news headlines reading, subprime DoorDash order bubble bursts, crashing economy. Could the government step in right now and regulate them as credit cards like they should be regulated and fix the entire problem? Absolutely, they sure as fuck could. Unfortunately,
you can't really do that because at that point, that company just becomes credit card. And at that point, there's a screening process and everything. They might as well be credit card. The whole appeal of this is like just you click a button. You just tap on a screen and you have it. That's the appeal of this. And in the modern world, the app world that we live in now, with the DoorDash and all that shit. Grubhub, whatever the fuck you have. Like, I understand that. I understand the appeal of this. Like, maybe you should do this. But they need to think it through.
Entire government and every politician is 7,000 years old and too technologically illiterate to understand what the problem even is.
Does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
What?
How do you sustain a business model?
It's on the internet.
Don't pay for your service.
What the fuck was it? Like, look at him. He looks so pale. This is the one, like, what the fuck was that?
Senator, we run ads.
And by the time they do realize it's a problem, it's probably going to be too big to
He's the guy who should have beard, you know? I think he has beard now. At the time, nobody told him it's like the king's clothes or something. Nobody wanted to tell Zuck, like, you look like hell. Just grow a beard, what the hell? I saved a beard one time and people could not stop talking about it in comment. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit again.
fail, so they're just gonna print a bunch of money, give it to fucking Klarna to pay off their subprime burrito loans, and then all the taxpayers get to pay for it. Fucking terrific. I can't wait. Okay, that's it. There's no silver linings. This is the dumbest business model I've ever seen in my entire life. If you want to take away from the video, it's this. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to start a business, find a problem, identify it, then solve the problem to make people's lives better. If at any point your idea to make money is to identify a problem and then make it worse to take advantage of poor and financially illiterate people, you're a piece of shit. And for the love of God, if you have to
there are not many problems left though. I think the entrepreneur thing is like find the problem in like access, streamline the thing. Basically Amazon, there's a whole thing, right? Like people used to go to store, buy things. Amazon like, I'm gonna give you in a day the things you can't even see in your own local store. Great, Amazon, they'll come to our home. The newer thing is starting, that's the same Grubhub level thing. Like we have like Zomato and Swiggy here. They sell actual phones and electronic shit, which I click a button, they'll bring me in 15 minutes. That's even streamlining more than what Amazon can do. So it's like that streamline things. If you want to entrepreneur some shit, conveniency, not be stupid. Like I understand the conveniency of this, but you need to think it through, man.
To take out a payment plan to have a private chauffeur hand deliver you a burrito, please don't do it. If you need to take out a payment plan for the burrito, you can't afford the burrito. There's literally bankers on the internet posting stories about how young couples lost the opportunity at their first house because they made a purchase with one of these buy now, pay laters a year ago, forgot about it, they reported the debt to collections, and it tanked their credit, and they weren't able to buy their first house over some fast food. Please don't ruin your financial future to have a burrito hand delivered to you. Buh! DoorDash is a necessity for some people. You're just a rich YouTuber that doesn't understand the struggles of the average.
DoorDash is necessity? Fuck you. Buy raw things and just make it from there. DoorDash is never necessity. You go to a store, buy some basic things like a bread or any basic thing. Even making sandwich yourself is much cheaper than anything, like DoorDash or Grubhub will do. Do you understand the level of charges Grubhub and DoorDash have? Do you understand the prices they take? Go to McDonald's and see what the price is. And go to Grubhub and see what the price is there. It's not the shit that you put top of it. The actual price itself will be higher.
Person. Buh. Okay, pause. I know what you're thinking. Fat Electrician is taking this keyboard warrior thing too far. He's making straw men. Surely nobody is actually arguing that DoorDash is a necessity. You're incorrect. I like to probe topics before
YouTube millions can understand the struggle of the 99%. Don't buy luxury service with that if you can afford it. It's pretty sound advice. DoorDash isn't necessary service for some people with disabilities. Oh, well, I see that. Sure. No, it isn't. People have had disability for I see that shit as well. Like, that's a good argument. My man Factrician just like went to like war. There have been disabled people forever. There was no DoorDash, but then again, like there was no wheelchair ones. They need a wheelchair. So yeah, DoorDash necessity is strong, but it's good for them. I can see that.
Before I make these videos to see what the keyboard warriors will say. And
yes, that's a good. So you cite the struggle of 99%, but then immediately use 1% minority as your justification. Yeah, how many disabled people are there? I mean, obviously, for them, it's not good for them. It's not 99%. Most people are not disabled. 99% are not disabled. People use minority as a justification way too much. And they're like, what about this? What about that? That's not how anything, that's not how statistics work, man.
And this is a real opinion that popped up on the thread. And my response to this is as follows. A, I was delivering DoorDash, not ordering DoorDash. I was a delivery driver for DoorDash like 2.5 years ago so I could afford to pay my bills. So you can fuck right off with that shit. B, DoorDash is a luxury purchase, okay? I don't give a fuck what the circumstance is. Ordering restaurant quality food and then summoning a stranger to hand deliver it to you is a luxury purchase. To call that a necessity regardless of circumstance is like saying that a Rolex is a necessity because people need to be able to tell what time it is. No, the fuck it isn't. Go buy a G-Shock for $9 and it's fine. So
God tier G-Shock. I have a G-Shock. I love it. I'll make sure that G-Shock stays with me until I die. G-Shock, God tier. Just buy that. Don't waste money in shit like this or money and all the crap. G-Shock is awesome. Yeah, as far as like necessity, no, it's not. He's so right. It's not a necessity. It's nice to have, but it's not a necessity. And don't use minority as like an example. That's not really an example.
So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. The new tech bro, buy now, pay later companies are the worst, shittiest, dumbest business model that I've ever seen in my entire life. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. I'm gonna get a cease and desist. I can feel it already.
What the fuck is that? I'm hearing this second time. What do you mean cease and desist? Why? You can't, isn't this covered by your amendments? You can't cover a topic. You didn't defame them. You're just giving your opinion. You didn't say anything inaccurate. You didn't make shit up. Cease and but then again, that is how courts work, right? Doesn't matter if you did or not. You have to argue in court. There's a whole thing, and nobody want to get into that. So that's how cease and desist. It's just bullying tactic, I guess. It's basically what Trump was saying. I sue everybody. It doesn't matter if it's right or not. Basically, that's how it works. Rather than is punching somebody in the face equivalent in legal terms, I guess. Look, man, this is what I'm gonna say. I agree with Federation a lot of times, but not all of them. I understand buy now, pay later appeal. There are credit cards. Okay, let's skip all those things and make something easier where you can just like how you can just download a Grubhub. Let's make something you can download credit. On the face of it, in the modern world, in the streamlined world, this just makes sense. Like I said, it's streamlining things. How Amazon is great, but now there are things that you just click and in 20 minutes they'll give me my iPhone. This is even better than Amazon. But you have to think it through, man. If you can't really tell it, people will be like, you can't have like burrito in installments. You have to put restrictions there. In India, there is called CIBIL, which is like a central thing that anyone can access. Any company, anything like this. Any like buy now, pay later people as well, who can access to see somebody's credit score instantly. It's streamlined. I don't know if you have something like that in USA or not. But the buy now, pay later people will instantly check that. If your CIBIL score is even like slightly bad, and CIBIL has everything. Even if you bought something on Amazon or with credit card, it will have that. And if the trend shows us like you're not so great at paying back, even slightly or even late payment, this buy now, pay later people will just give you a message like you're not qualified for this. So they don't get screwed. That makes sense. And whoever can get applied, then they can have some authority, they'll pay it back. And it's easier, not to go through credit cards, not to pay 5% interest a month. This is streamlining. Buy now, pay later makes sense in that way. But maybe in US, you don't have that CIBIL thing and like people are just willy-nilly giving people shit. But okay, let's not check anyone. Give them like installments on burrito. Yeah, that's gonna fuck up, right? You need something like CIBIL if you don't have it. Alright, well, that was stupid and evil business model by channel Fat Files. If you like my reason, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.